Shalom, righteous family. Welcome back to True Talk. The question today is: did Christ explain the law, expand on the law? Uh, what most believe fulfill mean destroy, but did he fulfill the law in making it greater and fulfill it in explaining it and making it clearer? Or did he so called fulfill or do away with the law and made his own new laws? Now, people use this argument both ways. I've seen those who like to hold to the law is done away with, and that quote unquote, their doctrine, how they believe is that we are up under a new covenant, which we are, but they believe that new covenant, or what I like to say, we new covenant, but they believe that new covenant is has new laws, and Christ gave those laws in the gospel, and also, Paul expanded on some laws. They hold power as a lawgiver also. So when Paul say, uh, I don't know, if you cover your head while you pray, then you dishonor the Most High. Even though we know the Most High never said that, Christ never said that, and so it was the first time we ever heard that. People still hold that as law and feel like they dishonor the Most High is when they cover their head when they pray. Now, I don't have an issue with people uncovering their head when they pray or feeling like Paul said something that we need to hold to. It's just those same people don't believe in wearing fringes or don't believe in having a beard when these are the laws of the Most High. These are what the Most High commanded them to do. But they like, yeah, that's not that serious. I know God said it, but God said some more things that are most serious, and I'm holding on to them when we know we're supposed to keep all of the Most High commandments, not just the ones that we feel like are good and important. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, they believe that the, this new covenant that we under has done away with what they call the Old Testament or the laws of God, has done away with the instructions and laws of God, and Christ gave us new instructions. And we are supposed to keep His commandments that He gave us. And they argue that by Matthew 5, and we're going to go through it. But then on the flip side, other people argue for the law using Matthew 5, like I'm going to do. But they take another angle. They say, hey, the Most High, if the Most High done away with the laws, why would He give harder laws? You know, and basically they saying that the ideal is, hey, we still got to keep the laws and statutes, and how we know we got to keep laws is because Christ not only uh, not do away with the laws, but He made the laws more harder. He increased the laws, and He gave new laws, and even in that argument, a lot of them say He gave new laws that are harder and more difficult to keep. So that should tell us that why would Christ do away with the old laws and give us new laws that's even harder to keep? If the old laws we couldn't keep, Why would he do away with them and say, "Oh, you can't keep them," and give us even new laws that's even harder? So that's the argument that those made that, hey, this is why the law is not done away with because Christ made new laws and they're even harder. So the old laws still apply because he wouldn't do away with them to make harder laws. And like I said, on the other side, they say no. Uh, the only laws we got to keep is the laws that Christ gave, and he made these new laws for us to keep. And as I was reading, praying, meditating, by the grace of the Father and his Holy Spirit, he gave me understanding. 5. Now, first, let's just go up because some may say it's a commandment, but Christ said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for there is the kingdom of heaven." Verse 4: Blessed is they that mourn, for they should be comforted. Now, these are not commandments; these are facts. These are what it is. Blessed is the poor, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed is the meek, for they shall see the kingdom of heaven. Christ is telling you what it is. Blessed are those that are hunger and thirst, for they should be fulfilled. Blessed are the mercy, for they shall attain mercy. So Christ did not say thou should be mercy or thou should be pure at heart, but he said blessed are those that are pure at heart. Why? Because those that poor at heart, for they should see God. So he's just telling you that those that pure at the heart is going to see God. Those that are merciful is going to attain mercy. He's telling you what it is. These are facts. These are not commandments, but they are teachings. They are teachings where the Most High is teaching us that when we be merciful, we will attain mercy. That when we be pure at heart, we will be able to see God. That if we hunger and thirst for righteousness, we be fulfilled. So these are teachings that's telling us when we do certain things or behave a certain way, that there's a reward. All right, back to the verse at hand. Matthew chapter 5, and we're going to start at verse 21. Now, this is when some people say Christ is giving a new law. And some people say he's speaking against the old law and saying, hey, the old law you heard is bad. We don't have to do the old law no more. Here, I'm giving you something new. But that's what's being said by the Holy Spirit. Let's get understanding. He says, "You have heard that it was said of them of old time." Let's stop right there and kind of uh, comprehend this and understand it. Did anywhere in here did he say law? I'll wait. Did anywhere in here did he say commandments? Did anywhere he say God commandments or Moses commandments or the commandments of old? No, he said you have heard. So first of all, he's saying you have heard something, and it said that was said of them of old. So you have heard what people of old had said. So he's saying you have heard what them of old times said. So we assume or we understand that he's referring to those that probably lived during the time where they was up under the law or we was up under the law. So, but he did not question the law. He did not bring the law in question. He bring what these people have said about the law. Because he said, you have heard what they said of old times. And we know that he's talking about those that was living under the law. So what did they say? Thou should not kill. We know that's in the law. And whoever should kill should be in danger of the law. Now did Christ say, oh no, but you should kill now? Or that don't apply? No. He continues and say in verse 22, but I say, now let's stop right there. He don't give a commandment. He don't say, thou should do this. Or you know how in the commandments it say you should not kill or you should not do this. He just saying, I say to you, this is what I'm saying to you. So what is he saying to you? He's edifying us. He's telling us something. He's not giving a commandment here, but he's telling us something. Now, he do give commandments, and we're gonna get to that. But right here, he says, I say to you. That's like if I say, your mama said this, but I say this. That's not me giving a commandment. That's just telling you what I say about the subject. So Christ is telling you what he said about the subject. He says killing somebody will cause them to be in danger of judgment, or that word is condemnation. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother without a cause should be in danger of the judgment. So Christ is letting us know. He's not saying thou shalt not kill is done away with or something is wrong with the law. He's saying that hey, if you angry with your brother, just as it was you have heard of those people old times say that when you kill you in danger of the judgment. Well, I'm letting you know that when you angry with your brother, you're also in danger of the judgment. Now, is this something new or is this in the law? Is it not written in the law? I think that's Deuteronomy 23, where it says, thou shalt not hate your brother Esau. But even more clear than that, in the law it says, thou shalt not revenge. Thou shalt not be revengeful or get revenge for yourself. But even more clear than that, it says, did not hold grudges. Now, when you hold a grudge, you are angry with your brother. So the law tells us we should not hold grudges or be angry with our brother. Christ is fulfilling the law, fulfilling it, bringing it in full, clarified by saying, not only making it clear that why we should not hold grudges or be angry with our brother, because this will cause you to be in danger of the judgment just as much as killing somebody will cause you to be in danger of the judgment. So if we don't want to be in danger of the judgment, we should not be angry with our brother. Now in the law it tells us we should not hold grudges, but it don't specify why. Christ is telling us why we shouldn't hold grudges. Because when we hold grudges, it's the same as the judgment is the same as when you kill somebody, or it's just as if you kill somebody, the judgment, you are in danger of the judgment. The judgment is the same. So once again, Christ is saying, hey, you have heard that those people under the law, they said, because, first of all, it's written that the law is good and perfect if we use it lawfully in the correct way. So Christ is came to clarify and allow for us to use it in the correct way. Because he said, you heard those old times say this. They say that if you kill somebody, you'll be up under the judgment. And I'm letting you know that if you be angry with your brother, that you also be up under judgment. That's not a commandment. That's information. That's edification. That's why Christ said, "Who hear these words of mine and do them will be as wise." And verse 22 is all about calling names. You know the saying, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. If everybody say, "What does it in the Bible say that we shouldn't call people names or we shouldn't insult somebody?" This is what this talking about. It's telling us basically, don't call names, don't insult people. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Or don't say mean things to people, basically. Don't insult people, don't pick at people, don't call names. It goes on to say, whoever say to his brother, Raka, which means empty head or stupid, or some says it means you worthless or nothing, should be in danger of the counselor. But whoever should say, thy fool, should be in danger of hellfire. So now, is this something new that Christ saying? We know in the law it says, treat others how you want to be treated. Treat thy neighbor as thyself. So if you don't want to be called fool and empty head and stupid and worthless, why would you call somebody else that? But Christ is telling you the penalty of when you do these things. If you call somebody a raka stupid, you'll be in danger of the council. But whoever should say that fool should be in danger of the hellfire. He let you know this is what happened when you do these things. You call somebody a fool, then you're gonna be in danger of the hellfire. This is not Christ giving no commandments. He didn't say thou should not call uh, somebody a fool or thou should be going to hell. No, he just let you know, hey, if you do this, this is what's gonna happen. Just the judgment for it. In verse 23, it says, therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar. Now, when it says your gift to the altar, notice it says tithes, or offering, or a sacrifice, even though a sacrifice could be a gift. But during this period, uh, the temple, you can bring a gift to the temple, and that was used to support the poor and to help uh, the temple, anything in the temple to, because on these holy feast days, in the temple, a lot of times they would they would have a celebration or something going on in the temple, and all that had to be paid for in the money, the gift that people gave, which it could be money, food, animals, anything, but they used that to give back to the people that on the holy days, they'll throw something, they'll use that money to buy food and do things, but it was also the poor could go there. Like, today's soup kitchen, back then the temple was like a soup kitchen for the poor. But it says, therefore, bring your gift to the altar. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and remember that your brother has aught against you. Now, that word ought mean that he has something against you, that you did something. He he found fault in you. So this don't necessarily mean that your brother is mad at you or treating you bad. Just you remember that you did something bad to your brother, and your brother uh has something against you, or have, in better words, he have sin on you. He know you have sinned against him. Say like I don't know, you stole from your brother and you see your brother every day and he don't treat you no type of way. He don't treat you mean. He don't disrespect you. He still treats you like a brother. But you know that he know that you stole from him. And he know you stole from him. But you still had made it right. Or maybe you said something that was rude or disrespectful and you hadn't apologized yet. And that it don't mean that he's treating you mean or bad or or not speaking to you. That's not the case. Now that may be the case, but he just know that you have sinned in some type of way towards him, and you hadn't made it right. The Most High saying in verse 24, leave thy gift before the altar and go your way. First, reconcile to thy brother, and then come and offer your gift. And I think that's important because Christ is letting us know that the Father, excuse me, the Father don't want you to go around doing quote unquote good deeds or doing good towards some people or one person and still have sin. That's the whole idea about repenting. That just imagine that, if you have not truly repented and made your wrong right, whether if you've done something against your brother or, anything, but you out here, quote unquote, trying to be a good person. So you cannot be a good person or, until you actually be a good person and do what's right. And a lot of times people will try to give material things and gifts to make things right and not do what may be the hard thing, which is the physical, uh, carnal thing in the flesh where you got to stand before your brother and really apologize to make it right with him. And I think that speaks volume that, hey, the Father don't want to accept anything from you until you do right. And that's in the scripture in the law. The Father talk about not accepting uh, mean and dirty and broken sacrifice and offerings. And this what this is. This is like a lamb with a broken leg. You want to give something that's sick and hurt and not good. When you give your gift to the Father and you got something against your brother, that's how your gift is. Your gift is like a dirty, sick, broken lamb or goat, and it's not acceptable before the Most High. What the Most High want is repentance, obedience, and He wants you to go, do right by your fellow brothers and sisters. This is not a new law that Christ has given, because in the law it talk about before the priest can sacrifice animals for anybody or and make it right with anybody. First, they got to repent and make sacrifices for themselves. Even going back to the law about the offering defiled animals and disease and sick animals, giving that as an offering to the Most High when you got something better to give. And what's better than giving a gift on the altar is making right with your brother. So that's even better to give than giving a gift. Like in verse 25 and 26, it says, agree with your adversary quickly, Now that don't necessarily mean enemy, it just means somebody that's against you. And they might be against you for a right reason. Radai are in the way with him. Let's say any time your adversary adversely deliver thee into the judge and the judge deliver you to the office. Why? Because you in the wrong. That's why your adversary will be able to deliver you to the judge and the judge will deliver you to the office because you are at fault. And you should be cast in prison. Why? Because you in the wrong. 26. Verily I say to thee, that by any means thou shalt not come out until thou pay the other felony. And he's saying you're not going to get out until you pay what you owe. And that's true. And basically, what Christ is saying here in the law, it tells us to, once again, make things right. This whole thing is about making things right. From leaving your gift at the altar to if your brother has out against you or know that you're sin and know that there's sin in you or you have sinned against him any type of way, uh, make it right with him before you bring that gift. And also, if somebody against you, your adversary, agree with them quickly because obvious you in the wrong because they're able to deliver you up to the judge and the law. So basically, it's saying make what's right, make what's wrong right. Do it quickly before it gets to the court system. And this is in the law. It talk about that. For instance, if you dig a hole and somebody animal fall in it, that you gotta give money for that animal. Do that quickly. Go ahead and agree with him and do that before you have to go to the court. And why would you wait and go to the court? Because you go to the court, guess what? Instead of paying, now you're going to be put in chains in prison. And like it says, you're not getting out until you pay uttermost every feather. 27. You have heard that it was said by them of old, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her committed adultery with her already in his heart. Now, once again, what is Christ saying? Is Christ giving a commandment? Did Christ say, thou shalt not look at a woman? No. He's telling you that, hey, in the law, you have heard, my bad, he don't say anything about the law, but he said, you have heard that it was said by them of old. So them are always those people who know the law. But Christ saying, yeah, they may say this about the law, but I'm telling you what the law really says. Because Christ came to fulfill and clarify and bring this law to a fullness. Thou should not commit adultery. But he said, I'm telling you, I say, I'm letting you know, and I'm saying this that when you look at a woman, you commit adultery with her already in your heart. So we know the commandment is thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, did that change? No. You should still not commit adultery. But now you know Christ is explaining and bringing that to fullness. He know that when you look at a woman to lust after her, that that's also adultery. That now you committing adultery in your heart. So when you read a commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery, a lot of times we think, oh well, you should not sleep with a man's wife. You know, vice versa. A woman should not sleep with a woman's husband. That's what we think committing adultery is. But Christ is fulfilling the law. He's bringing it to more fullness and clarity, and he's letting us know that no. Also, when you look at a woman to lust at her, that's also committing adultery in your heart. So now, when we hear the commandment, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," we know not only we cannot physically lay with somebody else, husband or wife, but we know we cannot look at somebody to lust at them because that's also adultery. And the law says thou shalt not commit adultery. So if we don't want to commit adultery, we cannot lust after a woman because we'll commit adultery in our heart like that. So Christ is saying, yeah, you have heard that, those are old said you couldn't commit adultery. But I'm letting you know, I'm saying that if you look at a woman and lust at her, that you commit adultery in your heart. So there's a so now we know there's two ways to commit adultery. Physically by laying down with somebody, husband and wife, and also we commit adultery in our hearts by looking at a woman to lust after her. Now, if we're going to keep the commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery, then we cannot commit adultery physically, nor can we commit adultery in our heart. So now we see how Christ is explaining and expanding on the law and letting us know more clear what adultery is. Adultery is not just physically laying with somebody, a wife or husband, but adultery is also committing adultery is also lusting after the woman. You also committing adultery in your heart that way. So if you don't want to commit adultery in your heart, as the commandment says, thou shalt not commit adultery, then we know that we cannot look at a woman to lust after her because we would be committing adultery in our heart. And the commandment says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Well, if it's in our heart, well, as if in our physical body, we should not commit adultery. So Christ letting us know, hey, you have heard, they said, of old times. Didn't say anything about the law. He said, you have heard that what them of old times have said. You heard what those up under the law says. But see, they don't know the law like Christ. You heard what they said about the law. You heard what they teach about the law. But Christ is saying, but I say this. I'm letting you know what it really is. And this is not a commandment. He's letting you know that, hey, when you commit adultery by looking at a woman, lest we also. In verse 29 and 30, it's just letting you know that, hey, if anything causes you to sin, no matter how much it's attached to you, no matter how close it is to you, no matter how long you've been with that person or that thing or that company or whatever it is, if it's causing you to sin, it's better to pluck that thing out and cast it from you. It's better to remove yourself from it or remove it from you because it's better for that thing to be removed from you. Where if it's something, he using the eye, but he's basically saying, because when we think our eye is something that nobody want to lose. It's a part of us. It's precious to us. So he's saying anything that you hold dearly, like an eye or a hand, that's so you got somebody that's in your life is like a hand that's very useful that you used to that been with you for a long time and you feel like you can't operate without this person. It's like a hand in you. It's like your right hand. You know how we say our right hand man? If this person causes you to sin, it's better for you to get rid of that person than for you, your whole body, yourself to be cast in hell. So, once again, this is wisdom. This is Christ letting us know how we should operate and behave when it comes to those things that cause us to sin. Once again, this is not no commandments. 31. It has been said. So once again, it said it has been said. So people are saying this. It's not saying this is, you know, uh, this is what the law says or this is the law. It's saying this is what people are saying. And we know that this is more likely what people are saying about the law. So it has been said, whoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a right of divorce. 32. But I say to you, whosoever put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, cause her to commit adultery. And whoever should marry her, who is her? The woman that was divorced without a cause, uh, that is divorced, commit adultery. So basically saying if the husband divorced a woman without for anything except her going out and cheating on him, then that's not a real divorce, and he causing her commit adultery by putting her away because when she go out, what she gonna do? She gonna find another man and more likely get married or have sex with him. And if she get married and have sex with him, that marriage is invalid because she's still married to the other man because he that divorce is in the guy's law not final because it's the contract legalized. He could not divorce her as and this how much the Most High hate divorces. He don't want you to get divorced at all for any reason. But he's saying if you fornicate, that's is a reason to put your wife away. But if you do that, put her away, and she had not fornicated, now you causing her to commit adultery. How? Because whoever and why she's committing adultery, or why whoever marries her that's divorced commit adultery, because she's committing adultery, or her husband causing her committing adultery. I hope I'm making sense. I'm sounding like I don't make sense. Excuse me. But whoever marries her that is divorced commit adultery. Why? Because her husband is causing her to commit adultery. And if you lay with her, you committing adultery with her because she wasn't supposed to be divorced in the first place. Now, once again, did Christ says, "Thou should not divorce thy wife, but for any reason"? This no, he's let you know you have. It has been said this way, but I'm letting you know that it's really this way. Now, is this a new law? No. In the law, we know it says uh, that if a man find anything unclean in his woman, that he can get her a divorce of the bill. Now, in the law, it does not clarify. It just said anything unclean. Now, that would cause for a lot of men to divorce their wife for anything they deem unclean. But Christ making it clear that uncleanness is fornication. Also, there's a difference between uh, marrying a wife and a concubine. And the laws about the concubine, a concubine can be a slave or even a divorced woman. But it says that if you are unpleased with her, that you can divorce her. Now, people took that and said, oh, you have heard, people have said, oh, if you unpleased with your wife, you can divorce her. But Christ said, no, I'm telling you that unpleasedness that you would be unpleased with your wife about is fornication. So the uncleanness and you being unpleased with your wife so you can divorce her is fornication. And if you divorce her for any other reason, it's not an accurate divorce and you cause her to commit adultery. So you cause her to sin, and those men that's out there, if you meet a woman that's been divorced and she say, my husband, he just put me away because he didn't like my attitude. You say, well, you a good woman. I marry you. No, you cannot marry her. You tell her to go back to her husband because you will be committing adultery then. And we know if you cause somebody to sin, as it said, he will cause us to commit adultery, you just as guilty of that sin as the person committing that sin when you cause that person to commit that sin. Now, this is where we get into where Christ finally gives a law. 33. Again, you have heard that it has been said by them of old time. Once again, it didn't say anything about the law or this is what the law says. It says you have heard what it has been said of them of old time. Thou should not forswear thyself, but shall perform unto uh, the Lord thy oath. Verse 34. But I say to you, swear not at all. Now that's a commandment. Christ say, I say to you, swear not at all. He didn't say that when it came to uh, lusting after the woman. He just said, I say to you that if you look at a woman, you will also be lusting after her. That's not a commandment. He didn't say, don't do this or do this. But here he says, he make it clear. He tell us not to do something. And the other ones, he's just telling you, not only if you do these things, like if you be angry with your brother, you're going to be in danger of hell fire. So he's telling you what will happen also if you be angry with your brother. And he also let you know committing adultery is not just physically, but I say if you look at a woman, you also commit adultery. Christ making it clear, he's telling us that, hey, looking at a woman, you also commit adultery. He didn't say thou shalt not look at a woman, don't look at a woman. And once again, he didn't say don't put away your wife or uh, thou shalt not divorce their wife. He just let you know whoever should marry do this. This the penalty that if you divorce your wife without a cause, that's fornication. He didn't say don't divorce your wife or don't do this. He letting you know that when you divorce your wife except for fornication, that's committing adultery because it's already written thou shalt not commit adultery. So once again, this is not a new commandment. This is Christ expanding on how you can commit adultery through marriage. So we know that you commit adultery by sleeping with a man, husband and wife. We know you commit adultery in your heart by lusting after somebody. And now we know you can commit adultery by divorcing your wife for anything besides fornication. If you just divorce your wife, you cause her commit adultery. And we know that if we marry somebody that's been divorced, that has not been divorced because they cheated, then we know that if we marry her, that's also would be committing adultery. And what the law says, thou shalt not commit adultery. So now we know what not how not to commit adultery. So Christ is expanding, fulfilling the law, explaining to us how not to commit adultery. Just like he was explaining to us how not to be endangered by the judgment by being angry with your brother. I hope I'm making sense here. Uh, but verse 33, he gave a command. 34. I say to you, what do you say? Do not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, neither by earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of great kings. 36. Neither shall thou swear by your head, because thou cannot make one hair white or black. 37. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these come of Now, some people argue. I heard somebody say, "Well, on Judgment Day, in the law, it says that we can swear by the Most High name. We are commanded to swear by the Most High name. So, if we keep Moses' law, or how he said that's what they call it, Moses' law. If we keep Moses' law, and Moses said we can swear, uh, in Moses' law it says we can swear, we by God's name, and then Christ tell us not to swear at all. Then who's right? Then on Judgment Day, if the law still, if Christ did not change the, if Christ did not change the law or bring nothing new to the law, then if I swear, if I'm guilty because Christ told us not to swear, but in the law it says we can swear. So who do I listen to on Judgment Day? If I swear, or forswear in God's name, will God judge me for that? Because I disobeyed Christ. And the argument they was trying to make is that yes, uh, this is why the old law is done away with, and Christ had made a new law because the old law said we can swear, and Christ saying we can't swear. So Christ has changed the law and made a new law, and has made his own laws, his own new laws, and this evidence that the old law is old and done away with, and we shouldn't keep. But actually, Christ is keeping the law here. Now we know Christ is perfect. He's the perfect Lamb. He fulfilled the law more than one ways. He fulfilled the law in coming and making the law feel and uh, clarify it, you know. But also he fulfilled the law in keeping it perfect. Uh, when you fulfill something, you fulfilled it. You completed. He completed the law. What no man was able to do was complete the law, keep it perfect until death. And Christ fulfilled the law and kept it perfect until death. That's why he's the perfect Lamb. Now, if Christ keeping the law, where can I find this in law? Now, in Numbers, I forgot what verse. It's talk about vows, and it's talk about that when a wife has a husband and she make a vow, and she pray and make a vow, and her husband hear her, that if her husband hear her and he disagree with the vow, he can cancel that vow because he's her head. And then it goes on to say that if a woman is not married, but she's in her father's house, and she's under his authority, and the father overhear her making a vow to God or to anybody else, and he disagree with the vow, that he can uh, stop the vow, that he can cancel the vow. Now, we know that the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the man is Christ. And we know it says that we are his bride, and is our husband, our husband. So Christ have authority over us. So according to the law, he can tell us not to vow. He can stop our vows. Only those who are your head and have authority over you, who the Father put over you, can tell you to vow or not to vow, or to cancel or accept your vow. And not only that, but this is also in the law. In the law, it says when you swear, you should keep your vow, but it's better not to swear at all. It says that in a couple of places. It says that when you vow, you should keep your vow, but uh, basically the same thing. I'd rather you not vow. He said, I'd rather you not vow than to vow and not keep your vow and sin with your mouth. So So the Father is saying, I'd rather for you not to vow than to vow, even though He told us to, when we make vows on His name and keep it. But He's saying, you know what? But it's better for you to not even make a vow. In Christ, knowing the law, and that's what it is. When people don't know the law and they don't understand the Bible, they don't understand what's being done here. They don't understand the law of the vows and that Christ is our head, so He's able to cancel our vows. So right here, Christ, He cancels our vows. He said, I say, swear not at all. So in the law, He's well in His right to make this command. And we see all through it, this the first time that He make a command because He know He's in His right to make a command because Christ is one with the Father. He's not against the Father. He's not going to make no new laws and do away with the Father law. Even though He did make, excuse me, one new law, and He says He made one new law. He said, "This new law I give you, that you love one another as I love you." That's what He told His disciples. That's the first time He said, "I give you a new commandment." He said, "I give you a new commandment. I give you this commandment that you should love others as I love you." And basically said the way that He suffered for us and gave His life up for us, that's how we should love one another, at least our brothers in the truth. 4. Oh, my bad. Verse 38. You had heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I say to you that you resist not evil. Whosoever smack thee on the right cheek, turn to him also the other also. What is he saying here? Now, what I believe he's saying here is when you understand the law and the prophet and the testimony, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth was not given to the common people. It was a judgment that the judges were supposed to judge by. He gave this, he told the judges, he said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This is how you judge every matter. Judge every matter fair, and this is how you judge it. So in the law, there was order. You couldn't just go around stoning, killing people, and oh, you hit me, so I'm gonna hit you back. First, there had to be two or more witnesses, and you had to go before the judge, and they had to diligently seek the truth, and then they'll make a judgment based on righteous judgment was written in the law. So he said, "You have heard it's been said," because I believe people have heard it's been said, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. Because I'm witness this, people will say, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, and they feel like, oh, you did me, so I gotta do you. And they don't understand that that commandment was given to the judge, not you. So yeah, you heard that, but I say to you that you resist not evil. Don't fight against evil. That whoever smack you on the right cheek, turn to the other also. And also, somebody pointed this out that maybe he deserved to be hit. That's why it's saying that he should turn the other cheek. That the eye for eye, the tooth for the tooth was he hit somebody and got hit back. So it's saying don't retaliate, turn the other cheek because you deserve this. And they use to back that up by the next verse that says, if a man would sue you in the law and take away your coat, let him have your clerk also. Now we know that in the law that when somebody uh, take you to court and you gotta pay them, that you gotta give extra also. So the idea is they suing you, so obviously you did something wrong, and if they take away your coat because you in the wrong, don't be mad. let them have your coat also, your cloak also, because you was in the wrong, and you want to make it right by, you know, hey, you sue me, you got this, but I'm gonna give you this also to make it right. But once again, at 39, it does not say anything about the person doing something wrong first. So I want to be careful not to add to the text. I just thought that was an interesting perspective that somebody else had. But little it says that do not resist evil, but whosoever smack you, it don't say that they smack them first, and they get smacked back. So this is, the idea that was making that this eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, people would do something, and then somebody do something to them, they'll say eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and feel like they can do something back because that person did something to them, but they started it, and it's almost like it'll never stop, almost like that. You know, hey, you kill one of mine, I kill one of yours, and we go back and forth to everybody there. Like somebody got to stop killing and saying, hey, even though you killed one of mine, I'm not gonna kill one of yours, so it can stop. So that's the idea that it was coming with. But sticking to the text, I think that it's saying that, excuse me, that we have heard it's been saying eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But if you look in the law, this was given to the judge and not the common person. So, no, if somebody slap you, don't say eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, and slap them back. Turn the other cheek. Now, I also don't think this is what people try to use it for religion, trying to say you can't fight. That if somebody hit you, don't fight. This is Christ giving a parable, saying that this is, you know, an example of letting go and not doing an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And I think he intentionally, like Christ, he knows, and he intentionally used somebody smacking you because he knows that how we are in nature. That if somebody hit us, that's a no no. I don't care how big you are. I don't care. You know, a lot of times it's a go time. But he's using that because he's like, I don't care what it is. It's not in you to take matters in your own hand and do eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. I know you heard it said eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. But no, it's not for you to take matters in your own hand. Even if it's somebody smack you on the cheek, don't take matters in your own hand. Turn the other cheek. 41. Whoever should compel you to go 1 mile, to go a mile, go with him twice. And I think Christ is just bring clarity, filling the law, because the law is about love, and the law it tells us that to help our brother to, if our brother need us to be there. In the law, it actually tell you uh, certain things like if you see your brother in need, help him. And he's saying, basically showing us how to love the way we supposed to love, how to treat people how we want to be treated, how to really love somebody. This is not a new law. This is wisdom. This is clarity. This is edification. Hey, if somebody tell you to go 1 mile or go a mile with them, go with them twice. Go with them an extra mile. And I heard somebody say that twice is not going with them an extra mile, but 1 mile there and the other mile back. And basically, they were saying that this text is saying that when you walk somebody there, don't just leave them there by themselves, but wait for them and be willing to walk with them back since you already walked with them there. So, it can be seen both ways that, hey, If they gotta go 1 mile, if they compare you to go 1 mile with them, but they gotta go even farther, they like, man, please just go with me to the corner store and I'll go the rest. If you go into the corner store, might as well go the rest with them. But it's just Christ is showing us how to be a brother, how to be kind, how to treat one another. 42. Give to him that asks, and from him that will borrow of thee, turn not thee away. I mean, Christ is not saying what's not in the law. This is exactly what's in the law. It says, do not turn your hand away from your brother that asks to borrow. So, verse 43, you have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which spitefully use you and prosecute you. And it goes on to say that we will be the Father children by doing so, because the Father is like this also. Uh, and then it leaves off to say, be perfect, even your Father in heaven is perfect, for those who say we can't be perfect. But I admit, when I seen this, I thought Christ was saying something new. And I was like, wow, Christ is telling us to love our enemies. This back when I didn't know the law. I didn't really read the first covenant, or what they call the Old Testament. But when you read it in the law, it tells us that if you see your enemy will be somebody that hates you, right? If you see your enemy as somebody that hates you and they need help, if they up under their donkey, it says you should not leave him there, you should help him. So Christ is saying what's in the law. He's just expounding and clarifying it and saying, hey, you have heard it's been said, love thy brothers and hate your enemies. But that's what we have heard. Notice it don't say a demo o, because this is not in the law. It's not in the law to hate your enemies. Actually, in the law, it tells us to love our enemies. Like I said, in the law, it tells you that if you see somebody that hates you, your enemy, laying up under his burden, it says don't pass by. You will stop and help him. So I get it. Those who don't know the law, has not read and studied and understand the law, when they read this, they thinking Christ is saying something new. He's saying something that's not in the law. He's saying something like I thought, oh yeah, the law would never say this or do this, because in my mind the law was bad, and God was hard, and those things was hard to do, and those things in the law wasn't really uh, teaching us how to truly love with our hearts, to be sincere, to truly treat our brothers the right way. And I thought all in the New Testament, oh, that really teach us how to treat people and how to really love people. And when I really studied the law, I was like, wow, actually the law is really telling us how to treat and love people. And Christ and all the apostles is quoting from what people call the Old Testament and the laws and the prophet. Well, I'm well over an hour. I'm gonna stop right here. We completed book Matthew 5. I hope it gave you clarity. I started off a little rough. I think I kind of stumbled over. 'Cause, 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 my brother, but I pray that y'all receive this with thanksgiving and with clarity. And if y'all want, let me know if y'all want me to do Matthew 6 uh, to speak on, because all what Christ is speaking is in the law, and he's just bringing clarity to it all. For instance, in the law, it tells us to give to the poor, to give to the needy. That's called giving alms, giving charity deeds. Christ tells us when we give alms or charity deeds, as in the law it says give to the poor, he said don't sound the trumpet. Don't let your right hand know for your left hand do. So right then Christ is not giving a new law. He's expanding because we know in the law it tells us to give to the poor, to give alms. But now Christ explained to us how to give alms, the correct way to give it. That when we give it, we should not sound a trumpet. So everything Christ is giving here, he's giving clarity to the law. He's fulfilling the law with clarity, and so he's not giving his own new law. He's not adding to the law. He's clarifying the law and fulfilling it more than one way. He fulfilled the law by keeping it perfect, and he fulfilling the law by bringing clarity to it and let you know uh, how to truly uh, follow these things of what's required of us. Well, what the law has not clarified, like in the law, it tells us to give to the poor, but it never clarified when you give to the poor, don't sound a trumpet and let people know. So Christ is clarifying that, let you know, oh yeah, the law did not clarify on how you should give to the poor. I'm telling you how you should give. So that's fulfilling the law. He's fulfilling it by fulfilling what the law is, and it's what's missing, was not clarified in the law itself. Christ clarified. So when Christ said, "Verily, verily, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass, not one jot or tittle, not one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law until all be fulfilled." So that's two things. He said, until heaven and earth pass. When will heaven and earth pass? Now we know in Revelation there's going to be a new earth and a new heaven. So until then, not one jot or one tittle shall law surpass. And then he says also until all be fulfilled. What is all? All of the prophet, all what was said. Has Christ came back yet? Have the 144 been sealed yet? All has not been uh, fulfilled. And what it's crazy how they'll read this and they'll know fulfill mean complete or accomplished. So we know Christ fulfilled, completed the law perfectly. He completed the law. He finished the law. He done it in its entirety. And they'll say because he completed the law, because he himself done the law perfect and fulfilled it, mean completing it, establish it, doing it perfect. We don't have to do it. He completed the law, so we don't have to. That's the religion lie. Nowhere in the Bible it says that, but you hear that as if it's a verse in the Bible. He completed the law, so we don't have to. He fulfilled the law, so we don't have to. When actually it says Christ is our example. And it says that we should walk as he walked. But as always, let Yah be true and every man a lie. Till next time, Shalom.